All right, what is up? We are live. A few things to run down here today. Parnelli Jones to start this things. I guess start things off kind of sad. We lost Parnelli Jones today. 9 years old from Texarkana. Passed away in Torrance, California. Championships. He had the. I'm just reading this off of Wikipedia. He was a little bit before my time, but I always do remember the name. Sprint car champion, USAC sprint car champion, 1960, 1961, and 62 for the USAC sprint car champion. USAC stock car champion, 1964. Indianapolis 500, 1963, and two-time Baja 1000 winner in 1971 and 1972. A name synonymous with racing, so definitely a guy that will definitely be missed, no doubt about it. So thoughts and prayers go out to his family. And hard to transition that to anything else, but the waiver gate is finally over. Kyle Larson gets the waiver, so no need to wonder any further on whether or not Kyle Larson will get the waiver. Will he not get the waiver? We know for sure that he is going to get the waiver, and we can finally be done with that because I've made 2 episodes on it now. So if you want to discuss it in the comment section, feel free. But I've definitely said my piece about it. Speaking my piece here, let's see. You're gonna post the there we go. Post the merch site there. There is the merch if you want to join in on the merch. And what else is happening here? Dale Jr. gets his number 8 back. The old DEI font, number 8 for Dale Jr. He's got that back now. So that is back in his, looks like Q1 of 2025. Shout out to Break Hard and I can't say the guy's last name. Joey Tartamella, I want to say is how you say his last name, but I'm not 100% sure. So shout out to them for getting us that information and getting it out there to us. Also, the FS1 gateway numbers were up 14% from last year. That is a significant pickup in viewership. So good on them. Also, Boris Said is back. Said heads rejoice. Boris Said is back in the Xfinity Series this weekend, so check him out. He's racing the number 17 Hendrick cars, Chevrolet Camaro, so look out for him. He's actually in good equipment. So there you go. And Kyle Busch at the Indianapolis Oval Test, doing the Goodyear tire test for Chevrolet. He put it in the wall. Looked like it was a driver's side hit, so hopefully he's okay. But his terrible, no good season continues to go on. Any good luck he's had, or any luck he's had, is he's had a good run of luck, and it's all been bad. That's what I was trying to say. Botched that significantly. Pretty easy poll question here today. Should Kyle Larson have gotten the waiver? Yes, no. What's a waiver? I thought this was a food channel. 17%. I thought this was a food channel. 4%. What's a waiver? 4% saying no, and 75% saying yes. As it goes right now, 26 votes in. So get your vote in on the poll question. We might change that one up here in just a minute. But yeah, that's rundown, and we'll jump in and see what you guys want to talk about. One wise guy going LOL food channel cooking with Kyle says Galactopus. Sonny V saying what a legend. Almost won Indy in a turbine car. I forgot he was the one that drove the turbine car. I've forgotten all about that. That's pretty cool. Like I said, a little bit before my time. Definitely an all-timer. What's up in between the lanes? Chrome Diesel, what's up, my friend? Do you think Martin Truex Jr. returns to Joe Gibbs Racing next year? Says Ben Kluber. I don't know. Like it's a fun thing to talk about it, and I guess it's the thing to talk about this week. Is what we're going to throw out there as far as YouTube and mainstream media go. Is Martin Truex Jr. going to retire? Is he going to stay and race another year? I would just say, who knows? It's Martin Truex Jr. Nobody really knows except Martin Truex Jr. So I don't think anybody has any real solid leads as to what he's going to do or what he's not going to do. So I don't know. If he leaves, I think the guy that replaces him is probably going to be Corey Heim. Like, I think the next person in line over at Toyota, no matter what seat opens up, is going to be Corey Heim. From there, which if 2311 gets a charter from the Stewart-Haas Racing deal, and if Legacy Motor Club gets a charter from the Stewart-Haas Racing deal, then I would look at other Toyota drivers like Chandler Smith. So I would look for some type of movement like that to happen if Martin Truex Jr. retires. But there's also, everybody wants to say, Noah Gragson, or just pick your Stewart-Haas Racing driver is going over there. So all kinds of stuff up in the air. Noah Gragson has driven for Toyota before. I think Noah Gregson's driven for everybody at this point, I want to say. So, yeah, he's driven for all the manufacturers at this point. So Josh Berry, Ryan Preece, whoever you want to put in there out of the Stuart Haas scenario. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything solid. I think people are just it's that point in the season where people just throw stuff out there to get a conversation going for various reasons. Who will win first, Ty Gibbs and Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, or Joey Logano? That's a pretty good question. That might be a poll question later on. Ty Gibbs, I would have to lean toward. Well, Joey Logano, technically, I count Joey Logano as already winning because I do count the All-Star race. So I'll narrow it down to those three. I'd say probably Ty Gibbs and Martin Truex Jr. have been the most consistent. So I would say one of those two, but never count out Kyle Busch. It's just going to be one of those seasons for him. Every once in a while, a guy just has a bad luck season. Looking like this is going to be his bad luck season. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. But I think all those guys listed right there do get a win. So I will say that. Harvick just said it best on his live stream that just ended with the win and your in rule. The winning is the waiver, says Grizz. Yeah, there you go. I mean, just get rid of the rule. Like here at this point, if you really just want to get into that, at this point, they've given a waiver for extracurricular activities. Somebody got hurt doing that. They've given a waiver for suspensions that they've handed out for conduct on the track. They've given a waiver for injuries that happened in a NASCAR sanctioned event. They've given a waiver for injuries that happened in a non-NASCAR sanctioned event. They've given waivers to a guy that missed a good chunk of the season. They've given waivers to a guy that raced the Indy 500. So at this point, all of your worst case scenarios to have that rule in place, right? You don't want guys missing a good chunk of the season and then competing for the championship. Well, that's already happened. Kyle Busch won a championship that way. You don't want to have a guy missing a race to go race at another venue or race in another league. That's already happened. Kyle Larson just did it. So at this point, I have to legitimately say, if those were your concerns when you made the rule, which obviously those were their concerns when they made the rule, and you've given guys waivers for that, why have the rule in the first place? Which is what I've been saying from the very get-go. Missing the race and missing those playoff points, missing or the potential to get those playoff points and missing those regular season points should be a big enough detriment and always will be a big enough detriment. Nobody is trying to miss a race. And I'd like to bring this up because a lot of people seem to forget it. Kyle Larson wasn't trying to miss that race. So I feel like from that perspective, what is there a need for the rule? It doesn't give you a competitive advantage. It's not a safety issue. And NASCAR's worst case scenarios for when they wanted to make this rule, a guy missing a chunk of the season and win the championship, and a guy going and racing in a different league and then coming and winning and having a chance to win the championship. Both of those scenarios have already happened. So if you're going to give waivers for those, why even have the rule in the first place? I feel like that's a fair question. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand with it on the on the waiver thing. I just don't understand it. Rest in peace, Parnelli Jones. KB is okay, says Bumblebee. Kyle Busch begged for more practice time. Yeti Crash says Chrome Diesel. Butterbean will attempt the truck race at Nashville. Oh yeah, so there you go. Butterbean, he gets another truck race, so that's going to be interesting. It's a short track too. I think he's raced there before. I don't know though. I'll have to check it. I'll have to look that one up. Early Sonoma pick, Mayetta, New Jersey legend Martin Truex Jr. Backup pick is Las Vegas legend Kyle Rowdy Busch. And Sonoma is Martin Truex Jr.'s home away from home. So it's another home track race for him, really. That's a joke. For the win, I should say as well. It says in between the lanes, Kevin Harvick run. I like both of those picks. Definitely solid picks. I feel like at some point Chase Elliott's going to win another road course race too. So I would throw his name in there. I haven't looked at the stats yet. Kevin Harvick running Cars Tour on June 28th on Flow, so he's going to run. He's going to run one of his cars. That'll be pretty cool. BB, did Kyle Larson reach out to thank you for pushing the NASCAR issue to the waiver? He has not reached out yet, but no need to reach out because we did the right thing, and that's the only reward we need. I don't think it was ever in question anyway. I feel like NASCAR just got their feelings hurt, and a few people within NASCAR, a few people within that boardroom that I talked about. So that is another thing I'd like to see. All the people in that, because maybe you have a really good reason, but if you don't have a good reason, you'd be forced to defend your position like the rest of us normies. You can't keep hiding in corporate walls and corporate meeting boards and meeting rooms. And to all the people that have disagreed with me in the comment section, I appreciate your perspective. You've all brought up good points. I still disagree with you, but you have brought up good points. So thanks for keeping it peaceful and civil. I'm ready to wave goodbye to waivers, says Napa Racing Fan. Yeah, like I'm saying, like just get rid of the rule. The rule doesn't do anything. There's no need for it. Let's see. Harvick will wield the number 60. Those big Tupperware, what are they called? Minor craftsmen, but they typically call them something else. Anyway, those big storage buckets or whatever you want to call them. I have one for all the Ford drivers, one for all the Toyota drivers, one for all the Chevrolet drivers. So I had to dig through the Ford drivers because this one was bought when he won the Daytona 500. So it took me a minute to find it. I knew it was in there somewhere. So we did eventually get him some run here, and that's who we should be talking about. That's probably the other thing. It's unfortunate that once again we have a guy that got a really nice victory. He did, he persevered. He didn't give up. He just kept racing hard, and he shook up the point system, which is NASCAR should be hyping this up. But here we are again today, talking about stupid waivers and all this nonsense. So it is what it is. The only waiver they did not give was Kurt Busch, says Cody Ledger. Yeah, and that's because Kurt Busch never technically came back. I feel like he would have got one anyway. I hope the waiver nonsense doesn't keep people from trying to do the double in the future. Good point, Bruce Garvey. And I brought that up before too. But yeah, that's another thing. Like, let's look at the downside of this. Let's say NASCAR decided they listened to those people who didn't want Kyle Larson to get the waiver. Okay, so nobody's ever going to attempt the double, and if nobody's going to be able to attempt the double, then IndyCar has no real reason to work with NASCAR. So let's just say IndyCar starts the Indy 500 at the same time that they start the Coke 600 or whatever. Everybody's going to go over there and watch the Indy 500. Nobody's going to watch the Coke 600. So once again, NASCAR has hurt itself. Also, if they don't give Kyle Larson the waiver, like Denny Hamlin said on his podcast, what stops Kyle Larson from going like, oh, so I can't be in the playoffs no matter what? Well, as soon as the playoffs start, I'm just going to go over here and start dirt racing again. How about that? So nothing about them not giving Kyle Larson the waiver was going to work out good for NASCAR. So I'll just throw that out there as well. So for all the people that wanted him not to get the waiver, it was not going to end well. So it is what it is. Has there been any news on the cause of the 12's fuel mishap? The Icebergs post-race, somebody mentioned the internet outage, loss of SMT. Any truth to that? They did lose SMT. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or if they just miscalculated it. So it's hard to say what exactly happened. But his teammate, you would imagine his teammate had the same SMT data. So probably just didn't get it all the way full would be my guess, because his teammate got his all the way full. The only other reason that maybe I could think of is he was racing so hard with Christopher Bell. Did he use more fuel racing Christopher Bell, and that's why he didn't get the same amount of gas mileage that he had been getting on previous runs? Those are the only two things I could think of. That being said, what if the thing somebody pointed out in the comment section, I wish I knew who it was so I could give you credit, but I can't remember. But somebody pointed out in the comment section of that video that what if it went into overtime? So wouldn't you think they would want to put extra fuel in it just in case it went to overtime? So I feel like they just didn't get it full. I feel like it's just one of those deals. Butterbean going to run Kansas in the fall as well. So there you go. See if Butterbean can continue getting as many truck starts as he can get. Always a cool story when a late model guy or just any guy from the grassroots level gets their shot. Always a great story there. I really want Elliott to win Sonoma just once. He comes so close. I keep saying that they could have given him the waiver and a penalty for choosing the 500 over the 600. I mean, you could, but at that point, so the problem with that, Willow, is it's kind of like if you got arrested for something and then they didn't tell you what you got arrested for, then they made up the law while you were arrested and then charged you like that. That would essentially be the same thing. And dear God, don't talk about politics, because I'm not talking about that. I just thought about that as I was making my analogy. But it was essentially like if you got arrested and they invented the crime while you were arrested and you weren't really arrested for doing anything that was bad at the time, like that would be the counter argument to that. You can't give out a penalty for something that you didn't have a rule in the rule book for to begin with. So it was either waiver or no waiver. They couldn't just retroactively throw a penalty in there. Now, if they want to do that for next season, they have every opportunity to put it in there for next season. The number 8 expiring was cool. Year's statement was kind of controversial, in my opinion, to diehard fans. who hate Teresa. I think a lot of people, a lot of people do hate Teresa, and B, I've never met her. I can't speak on that myself, but B, it is cool. I think the more important thing is Dale Jr. Getting that number 8 back, so it's going to be cool to see what he does with that. Didn't Robbie Gordon attempt the double in 2004? He did, and something happened. He didn't complete all the laps, but he did run in both races, but something happened and he didn't complete all the laps. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Howdy from the Great White North. What's a waiver? So Robin Marks going with what's a waiver on the poll question. What's up, Robin Marks? What's up, Canada? Any new manufacturer prediction? Any manufacturer prediction to win Sonoma? That's a good question. I would say probably Toyota. They're usually really good at road courses, so I would lean toward Toyota there. Let's see. Jackhammer going with Chevy. Jackhammer Elliott is another good pick for Sonoma as well. Says in between the lanes. I'm getting real sick of this Larson. He's not the only guy out there, says Chris Jordan. That's a fair point too. So not only do you have the hype around the Indy 500 and stuff like that, and which is what I was getting at with the Austin. We should be talking about Austin Cindric and him shaking up the points. But once again, we're talking about Kyle Larson. You talked about Kyle Larson all of for the entire month because of the Indy double, and now we're still talking about him because NASCAR didn't immediately just make a decision and say, hey, he either gets the waiver or he doesn't get the waiver. Like they shouldn't have drug it out this long. So that's a good point, and that's the point I've been making. And that's the same point I made when Brad Keselowski won his race too, where we're talking about a fight and some nonsense over there. And now we're, instead of talking about Austin Cindric's win, we're talking about, hey, Kyle Larson got a waiver. Like honestly, I'm with you, man. It's just a bunch of manufactured drama, and we should be talking about the accomplishments of Austin Cindric shaking up the point system, shaking up the points, who's going to make the cutoff line and who's not. Junior spoke highly of Teresa today, says Richard Hull. Michael Mack, welcome to the team, my friend. Fist bump, joining the members. Appreciate you, my friend. Real Radman tweeted yesterday, if NASCAR won't give the waiver to Larson, it will add destruction of the championship value. To me, it already cost value to the championship. That's the other thing. Do you really want to win the championship, knowing that there was a guy that currently would be second in points right now, with the points deficit as it stands now? Would you really want to win the championship that way? Some people would, some people wouldn't. It just depends on your dude. Cindric with the Freightliner scheme at Gateway this past weekend. Yeah, it was really cool when he got out in Victory Lane. It was really cool that he said, man, I feel terrible for Ryan Blaney. You always hate to lose one that way. So it was cool that he got out and immediately had some empathy for his teammate. And the other thing that was cool, he said, every time we run this, I'm glad we won in the Freightliner scheme, because every time we run it, we have really, really bad luck. And it is a gorgeous scheme. So I'm glad that he could get a win in that scheme as well. So good on him. Good day for the Penske gang. Good day for Ford. With Cindric winning, who do you think misses out of the current, excuse me, of the current 10 out of 16, 9 have wins? I don't know, but as it sits right now, Kyle Busch and Joey Logano are sitting on the outside looking in. So I don't know. It's if you looked at the beginning of the season, you wouldn't have had either of those guys sitting on the outside looking in at this point in the season, I guess is what I was getting at. So those two, you would have to worry about them. You have to worry about Chase Briscoe all the way up to Bubba Wallace in 15th. I feel like none of those guys right now are technically safe because there's only a few points. Let me pull up the point spread here so I can give the actual numbers off the top of without going off the top of my head. Where are the standings at? So yeah, 160 minus 129. So Ryan Blaney is pretty stout. He's got about a race and some change to play with, so he can have a bad race and he'll still be in there. But guys that can't have bad weeks from here on out are going to be Bubba Wallace, Chris Buescher, who would probably be another one that a lot of people would say wouldn't have him this low on the totem pole this far into the season. Chase Briscoe, a lot of people are big on him. They wouldn't have him that low, but definitely Joey Logano and Kyle Busch. I think a lot of people would not have them outside right now, outside looking in. So it's going to be super interesting to see how it all plays out and what happens as the deal keeps going on. And I keep forgetting to do the manufacturer points right now. Manufacturer points right now, +3 for Toyota, who is in the lead, -3 for Chevrolet, and -32 for Ford. So Ford climbing right back in this thing. A few more wins, and they will shrink that lead even more to the leading Toyotas there. BB, please say you didn't pay for that Austin Cindric shirt. LOL, says E. Damon. Well, like the vast majority of my racing stuff, it was on sale. Most of it is. I never buy it if it's not on sale. Hey, BB, there's a Earth 2 prediction. Teresa Earnhardt sells DEI to Junior. He runs the Daytona 500 against Jeremy Mayfield with Brian France reinstalled as NASCAR CEO, says Jamie Schweitzer. There you go. That's perfect for Earth 2. I have everything upside down, backwards, and everything like that. And she's beloved. On Earth 2, she's beloved. Day one of the USAC week in Indiana gets rained. Jade Vitason has 5 more chances to get that big USAC win. So yeah, she's also another one in the Toyota pipeline, on the Toyota Next pipeline. Keep an eye on her. It was nice to see that Austin Cindric's giant permanently mounted goggles found its way in that Mr. Magoo sense to a win. Yeah, he likes to wear glasses inside the race car, so nothing wrong with that. A strong look at all times, much like Kevin Harvick, and there's a few that do it now. Robbie Gordon did 3 double attempts from 2002 to 2004, says Chrome Diesel. Chase Briscoe to the 19 car, so there you go. A vote for Chase Briscoe to the 19 car from OJ and Toothpaste. Also glad you said my last name right in the video today. Not many people have gotten it right. Hey, there we go. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, good looking. I worried about it, but I tried to do the best I could. So appreciate you getting the info out there, my friend. So there you go. Jackhammer JT, that's the one who broke the story for the number there. Austin Cindric is the pain of Penske, says E. Damon. I don't know about all that. He's had a bad run, but Austin Cindric, I feel like he's talented. If you look at his Xfinity Series career, it took him a while to get in the Xfinity Series career. But once he got going, he was going. It might be the same thing in the Cup Series. So once he figures it out and gets going, he'll get going pretty good. Race Hub officially announced their final victory lap, 90-minute special on today's show, replacing it with the 1-hour rerun of the herd. Says Napa Racing Fan. Race Hub finale next Tuesday at 6 p.m. NASCAR got not NASCAR related, BB, but do you agree that turkey and provolone sub at Jersey Mike's is their most popular sub, or do you feel the number 13 original Italian would overtake the turkey and provolone? I've got some inside information on this because the race team likes to eat at Jersey Mike's quite often. So without question, the number 13 Italian is the most popular sub. They have often said we get tired of making these. So I'm going to go with number 13 original Italian is probably the sub that they universally make the most of over there at the New Jersey Michaels. Kyle Larson can now add Dairy Cow to his resume. NASCAR sure milked his waiver story for all it was worth. Yeah. So that's another angle of it. There is a conspiracy theory tinfoil hat side of me that NASCAR knew all along that they were going to give him the waiver, and they just milked it, which once again irritates me because we should be talking about Austin Cindric and him shaking up the points as we get closer to the playoffs, but it is what it is. I guess whatever sells for NASCAR. I hope Martin Truex Jr. doesn't retire and stays in the 19 next year. He's my number 2 guy behind Kyle Busch. Yeah, both guys. I feel like both guys could still race as long as they wanted to. It's just going to be how long do they honestly want to keep racing. What's up, Duke Chronic? Good to see you on here, my friend. Noah Gragson to the 19 car because of Bass Pro Shop connection. That's a fair assessment. That could definitely happen. It'll be really interesting. The Stewart-Haas drivers. Here's what I'll say about the Stewart-Haas driver situation and silly season and all that. I feel like even the mainstream media guys don't know for sure anything that's going on with the Stewart-Haas deal right now, other than they had a pretty good idea that they were going to sell out. So I feel like I would take a lot of that stuff with a grain of salt, because we saw with the Kyle Busch thing last year, it flipped a couple of years ago. It flipped week to week. Was he going to stay at Joe Gibbs Racing? Was he going to go over here? He was going to go over here at one point. So I would take all that stuff with a grain of salt, because a lot of times you got to sell magazines and ad space and stuff like that. And there's nothing against them. I mean, I'm sure they got some legitimate speculation, but how much did the league give them and stuff like that? it's a business at the end of the day. So I would take it. I would take it with a grain of salt whenever you hear this guy's going there. But yeah, Bass Pro Shop is as good a connection to Noah Gragson possibly going to the 19 as anything else. Also, that's the reason. That's the same reasoning some people are linking him to the extra RCR car. Although I feel like if RCR got an extra charter, they would probably put Austin Hill in it. I feel like that one to me just makes more sense. It would be cool to see NASCAR give waivers to drivers that may want to run the 24-hour of Le Mans. That would be really cool. I don't know if that'll ever happen though, especially after this fiasco. So I don't know. Isabella Robusto is doing very well in ARCA, P6, P2, and P3. Yeah, she's a driver. I've seen her drive at Hickory, and I've seen her talking to fans and stuff at Ace. She's really, really cool, laid back. One of the people that is more outgoing, I would say, with fans. So I wish her the best. Jack Hammer saying Truex is probably done after this year. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a good guess, but I don't know. Like I said, Martin Truex Jr., he's just sort of he does his own thing. Like he might wake up, he might set a date and say, I'm going to decide on this date. And he might like just wake up and not even know what he's going to do until that date. That's the kind of dude that Martin Truex Jr. strikes me as, but I don't think he's got. It's one of those deals. Like, how long do you want to keep racing? He's got nothing left to prove. Kyle Busch has nothing left to prove. Denny Hamlin still needs to get that championship. I could see Denny Hamlin, if he wins a championship this year, being like, that's it, going out on top. None of those guys, they've been around so long, none of those guys really have anything left to prove. Kevin Harvick, like, he could still probably drive right now, but he really doesn't have anything to prove. So it's just how long your desire to keep doing this, or do you want to, spend more time with your family? Because those decisions and stuff like that become more, or just, racing is all consuming. Like 36 weekends of your year, 38 really, you're racing. So how much of life do you really get to experience while you're racing? So there's all kinds of factors to factor into that. But yeah, I mean, if you really pushed me on it, I would probably say you're right. I do think Truex is probably going to be done after this year. So that would open that up. But I think Corey Heim would go in that seat. For some reason, I'm just thinking that's going to be a Corey Heim seat. But Noah Gragson with the Bass Pro Shops already linked up. That's just as good a guess as well. Joe Logano threw a pizza party for Austin's team. Hunt's Pizza, says Jamie Schweitzer. So that's pretty cool. 6 ladies competing full-time in the 2025 ARCA Series, says SC. Hey Chronic, says Schweitzer. Maybe HMS uses this to make a point for charter negotiations, says Dakota Henderson. Now that's a pretty sharp take right there, and I'm surprised nobody, including myself, I thought about it, but I didn't want to throw it in there. Maybe they put some pressure on NASCAR by leveraging some of the charter negotiation talks and stuff like that as well. Maybe that was part of what played into this. You never know. So all kinds of angles. Somebody in the comments said maybe one of the angles is NBC said you're not going to mess up our coverage by not having Kyle Larson do the double next season. So maybe that played into some of NASCAR's decision making. You never know. Behind closed doors, what actually goes on. I had a turkey and provolone regular with rosemary parm, which is the best bread. That's really the only bread to get at Jersey Mike's. Mike's Way with banana peppers and MS mayonnaise. Vicky's jalapeno chips for lunch today, says in between the lanes. That's a pretty solid order. That's pretty solid order there. Do you think there is any retirements beside Truex at the end of the season? That's a good question. I would say probably only Truex. The only AJ, like, people don't think about it, but AJ Allmendinger's up there too. So maybe AJ Allmendinger, Justin Allgaier. There's a few, maybe not in the Cup Series. Well, it depends on how you view AJ Allmendinger. But yeah, there's a few out there that could possibly retire. Excuse my ignorance. You mentioned Butterbean. Who was that? Not the boxer, right? No, it's Brendan Queen. He when I first saw him, he was racing at Langley. I want to say he won his first track championship at Langley in 2020. I might be wrong about the date there, but I do know he won a track championship in 2020 because we were racing. We were helping a guy race Virginia Sportsman, Landon Pimbleton. He won the Virginia Sportsman. We won the Virginia Sportsman title with him. The same year that Butterbean won the Langley Track Championship. where they have the Hampton Heat, the most where you just saw the 3 wide finish. Butterbean is a track champion there. So yeah, he goes by Butterbean, Brendan Butterbean, Queen of the Cars Tour, saying Napa Racing Fans. So yeah, that's the full name there. Okay, so thanks, says Michael Mack. How long before AM Racing fires Haley Deegan? As long as she keeps signing checks, I think they'll probably keep signing her up. It'll I'm pulling for Haley, and I hope she gets some good finishes, but she hasn't shown a lot of progress. But hopefully next season or midway through this season, she can get it going over there. But I feel like she's sort of in a Danica situation. Stewart Haas Racing kept Danica for a long time. They kept trying to develop her talent because she was bringing in so much money. I feel like there's probably a similar situation over there at AM Racing. I believe 2311 will get a third charter and put Heim in the seat. Gibbs probably doesn't want Heim at JGR, going back to their ARCA rivalry, says Napa Racing Fan. I don't know if you well, that might be true. I can't say one way or the other. But I feel like, and this is just, me thinking Corey Heim's a really good driver. I feel like if you can get a guy like Corey Heim, you get a guy like Corey Heim. I feel like if you can get a guy like Carson Hocevar, you get a guy like Carson Hocevar. How much money would it, to me, what I would be looking at right now is how much we know that Joe Gibbs Racing likes to take Toyota likes to take Chevrolet talent. We've seen that recently, right? So if they can pull another coup d'etat like that and get Carson Hocevar, to me, that would be the move. Like if I owned a racing team and I wanted to start young, there would be 2 drivers. What I've seen from Noah Gragson this year, I would try to grab him, and I would try to grab Carson Hocevar as far as guys that are in the Cup Series right now. Those will be the ones I'd be trying to pry away from their contracts and stuff like that. Now, if you want to go down to the Xfinity Series, I think Corey Heim and Sammy Smith would probably be your best bets down there. Chandler Smith, you got to put him in that conversation. Austin Hill, but I feel like Austin Hill's deal with RCR is pretty solid. But yeah, I would look at some drivers like that. Cole Custer, bring him back up to the Cup Series if you can get him. So I think those would be the guys. Some of the guys I would look at, and there's obviously more. Whenever you do a list like that, you're going to leave somebody out. BB, can you petition NASCAR to let Butterbean go on the track, go on the back windshield? Not his last name. Honestly, just let all drivers do nicknames. I feel like I think they should let guys do that. So yeah, I don't know why they don't. I don't know if you would have to get a waiver for that too. Ha ha ha. Having no points gained from 600 should have been punishable enough for missing out. Move on. The waiver debate was so arbitrary. Yeah, like I'm with you. It didn't benefit him at all. So that's what I'm saying. I just don't understand the rule. There's nothing the rule really protects anybody from. Like it's just a weird rule. I don't know. I mean, I get why they made it in the first place, but they really were overthinking the situation, in my opinion. Dark Horse prediction: KFB announces 2025 will be his final full time in a season as a Cup driver. Says Jamie Schweitzer. Maybe. I don't think he's done yet. I don't think he's done yet, but I don't know. Sorry, I'm late today. Grandma's not doing right now. I'm not doing good right now. Says one wise guy. I hate to hear that, my friend. Thoughts and prayers go out to you. And we got your back here on the stream, my friend. Deegan was on a road course and was 4 laps down, brought out a yellow flag with the new crew chief. So yeah, that's been a point of contention too. Some people think that she got the crew chief fired. Some people don't. Just depends on where you stand on that one. So when does SRX start? We need some good short track racing. Yeah, hopefully they can get it going. I don't think they'll get it going this year, but who bought it out? Bondurant. Hopefully Bondurant gets it going pretty soon. I think that's who bought it out. I might be wrong on that. I know it was one of the race car driving schools. How come Cup doesn't run the Portland road course? I don't know. I don't know why they don't run Road America either. So good question. In the future, do you believe teams will get around the 3-team charter rule with having alliances? 100%. 100%. Joe Gibbs Racing has already done it with 2311. So there's your proof. Proof's in the pudding. Let's see. They also did the same thing with Furniture Row back in the day. Prayers for your grandmother, says Napa Racing Fan. Should the 8-team and KFB start hitting the panic button on the season, or can they get out of the funk? I hope so. Like we saw this weekend, the car had some speed. So he's had situations where he's had some speed. It's either been him speeding on pit road, the pit road penalty, or the pit crew missing a lug nut or something, something like that happening. And then this weekend he wrecked because he got too aggressive racing Kyle Larson trying to pull Kyle Larson around, which he successfully did, but he also pulled himself around as well. So when he's had good cars, which has been a good portion of the season, he's had fast race cars. Something like that happens, and he doesn't get the finish that he was looking for. Chandler Smith would be a better fit at JGR over Gragson. He's extremely Christian. Noah and Ty wouldn't get along, says Matt Hunter. If you buy into the public perception that they're selling over there at Joe Gibbs Racing, that's what I'll say about that. I'm not going to get into that. Appreciate it, Napa, says one wise guy. SRX wasn't doing well financially. No races this year at least. Yeah, so I'm thinking next year is going to be when Bondurant and all them get it back going and rolling. They had the Indy 500 broadcast for weeks saying the name NASCAR and Larson. They got their money's worth, says Duke Chronic. Yeah, for sure. And to somebody, I think Chris Jordan pointed out on here earlier, a lot of people are tired of hearing about Kyle Larson at this point. So we need to be talking about something else, which Austin Cindric would be a good conversation starter for those who are tired of hearing about Larson, because what Austin Cindric did is flying under the radar. He has completely shaken up the points. Joey Logano and Kyle Busch right now, two former champions, are sitting outside of the round of 16. Thanks, BB, says one wise guy. No problem, my man. Hopefully everything works out well for you. Evening, y'all. Dale Jr. finally gets the 8 back. Yeah, that's going to be really cool. I can't wait to see what he actually does with that font. The way Sawyer said, drivers must attempt all races to ensure fans to see that their driver. Most already assume if my driver is locked into the playoffs, I don't watch until the summer stretch until September, says Chrome Diesel. Yeah, so no system is perfect, and one of the flaws with this playoff deal is once your driver locks in, you really don't have to watch the races because you know your guy is going to be into the championship, or in the playoff championship, or whatever you want to call it. Does it depend on type of track for trucks, Xfinity, or Cup to run? It says in between the lanes. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what we're talking about. What do you think about Joe Custer allegedly buying SHR's fourth charter? That would be a bold move. That would be a bold move, and that would be a really cool move. Like, that would be the most baller. It would be the most baller thing I've seen in like a long time. So that would really shake some things up, wouldn't it? Because then he could go with sort of whoever. He could team up with. He would be sort of like a lone wolf, like JTG Doherty, and he could pick. He would have a good idea of what it takes to run a team and what team members he needed to pick and things like that. If y'all want Rex, put the Cup cars on the Detroit street circuit. Turn 3, enough said. I have a feeling NASCAR will want teams to have 3 teams with 2 full-time drivers and 1 team be a part-time, says Duke Chronic. I think they're just going to have them all run three full-time teams is what I'm thinking. Cindric's win was a fluke. Yes, he ran well, but Bell blowing up and Blaney ran out of gas helped him to victory. Wouldn't have won otherwise. I mean, you can say that about a lot of people's victories in a lot of races. So it is what it is. He ran good that day. He hasn't consistently run good all season, so I'll give you that. But on that day, he put himself in position to win, and that's all you can do in any type of race. So I'm not going to call it a fluke because he did lead 53 laps, but he was always in contention the whole day, and his strategy was really good. In fact, he had enough sense not to run as hard as he could to save gas, and so you can look at it all kinds of ways. But whenever somebody runs top 3 and they get a win, I can't necessarily consider it a fluke. But I see 100% where you're coming from. I see the other side of it too. I don't know. A win's a win to me. I asked about the playoff cutoff and what craziness we may see last Sunday stream. Crazy, yeah, it's getting crazy now for sure. You called that one for sure. That Detroit race was a disaster. I haven't seen any of it. Hoping Legacy ousts John Hunter Nemechek by shipping him to 2311 for their 3rd entry and Heim to the 42. A lot of people want Corey Heim, so it's going to be interesting. He's probably going to be as interesting the track where he goes this season as anybody. Both Logano and KB score a win to get into the playoffs, and both land in the Final 4 running for the championship. This all occurs on my special Earth planet, number 11, says E. Damon. I think there's a good chance it happens on Earth 1 as well. If every race was exciting, NASCAR wouldn't have to worry about us tuning out for the summer. Hey, Bruce Garvey, there you go, my friend. Thank you. Now you're asking the right questions. NASCAR have the legal right to buy a charter? Well, they own them. They own them, so they wouldn't even have to buy them. So I don't know. Bell used up his engine and Blaney used up his fuel racing each other, says Duke Chronic. There you go. And who's to say Bell's engine, maybe he missed a shift or something like that. Maybe that could have hurt that engine at some point because he was shifting throughout the race. You never know. You never know. Was it an engine failure or was it a driver error? You never know. They haven't come out and said that other than to say it was a bent valve. I think I said a burnt valve on the last stream. I meant a bent valve. You think Cole would take that fourth charter for his dad or Barry and Rodney as a package, hypothetically? I think no matter what happens with Josh Berry, he's going with Rodney Childers is going with Josh Berry. I feel like that's a package deal no matter what. I like Cindric, but his average finish isn't worthy to compete for a title if it was OG chase or full season points, says Chrome Diesel. Yeah, but he also didn't get 5 or 6 years. So I always like to see a guy get at least 3 or 4 years because I feel like that third year, even with Chase Elliott didn't win until his, third or fourth year. So you look at guys like that. William Byron didn't win until his third or fourth year, I want to say. So you look at stuff like that. You got to, especially with this car, you got to give him some season, even though those particular examples are with the older car. Truck and Xfinity races running at the same time on Saturday was interesting. Can't imagine Fox or NASCAR was happy competing against themselves. There's no way they were happy about it, but that's the risk you run when you have outdoor sports. This was the only second top 10 of the season for Cindric. He's in the playoffs dumb point system. Brother, I've been preaching that since they made the system. So I'm with you on that. I don't agree with this point system at all. And the win wouldn't be any less significant because we would still be talking about it. It's always cool to see a guy get a win. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm not a fan of the playoff system. I never have been. I think we can have a playoff system, but I think there are better ways of going about it than this playoff system we have now. But I would much rather prefer a full season worth of points. I like the IndyCar table the way they do. I mean, not IndyCar. I like the F1 table the way they do their points, and I really like MLS, not MLS, but Premier League Soccer. I like the way they do their table as well. Full season points for the win. Do you think Suarez will get a top 10 on Sunday? He's pretty good at road courses. It's hard to say. He's another guy like Kyle Busch. Aside from the win, he's had a really a down season. I don't know. I don't know what to say other than that. Rest in peace, Parnelli Jones, a true American hero, says William Wagman. That's a fact. That's a fact. He will be missed for sure. Dixon's drive for 7 is alive, 18 points ahead of Palou. Yeah, I'm pulling for Scott Dixon to get number 7, man. That would be so freaking awesome. Le Mans on Saturday the 15th. Does Hendrick have a car in the race again? That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about the Garage 56 if they're going to do it again or not. Aside from the big buzz on the first one, the fact that we haven't heard anything about it makes me think that I don't think they're going to have any cars in it, regardless. Anything on the drivers for Sunday? Boris and AJ. Yeah, so here's the list. We've got Cam Waters is going to be in there for RFK. Go up the list here. Will Brown is going to be running the 33 for RCR. He is another supercars guy. He'll be in that bright green Mobile X Shaw and Partners black and green number 33 Chevrolet for RCR. Daniel Hemrick in the 31. In the 16 is going to be AJ Allmendinger. And let's see. That looks like, just scanning the entry list here, that looks like the entry is Kaz Grala will be back in the 15 this week. Cody Ware is back out, so Kaz Grala back in the 15. This will be his 13th or 14th race, so he has missed a couple. Let's see. I was totally fine with the Chase 10 race points straight up. This playoff nonsense is too much chaos. Yeah, I feel like the Chase was a fair way to do it if you're going to do a playoff. I know Hendrick was one off at Le Mans last year for the Garage 56. Scott Dixon got his 57th win in Detroit, says one wise guy, and a well-deserved win. Somebody saying it was a big deal for Honda to win in Detroit, which whenever a manufacturer wins in Detroit, it's a big deal. The easiest fix for the playoff system is to require 2 wins to get in. Then everybody else gets in on regular points and adding a win if they got in, says E. Damon. I mean, the easiest way to do it would just be take it by points. Like the wins wouldn't matter. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I like the win and you're in. That way, Cindric just threw a wrench into the point standings. It's hilarious as hello. So there, if you're into chaos, which I do like chaos, so the win and you're in, either go in on points or one win and you're in, or if everybody has one win, whoever gets bumped out. However, whoever has the lowest points with the one win gets bumped out. SVG spotting for Will Brown, or go to 17 cars because if 17 had a win, I feel like that would be fair too. SVG spotting for Will Brown on. Hey, there you go. SVG is going to spot for Will Brown on Sunday. That'll be pretty cool. Old familiar voice on the horn there. Boris is running the Hendrick 17 on Saturday. Says William Wagman. Yep, we jumped on that at the top of the show here. But yeah, he will be driving a really good car. So Sid Heads rejoice. Hey BB from Daytona Beach. I thought the RCR and HMS had a technical alliance, or do they not anymore? They're building the engines together. They don't build them all at the same shop like Roush Yates does, but they basically they're sharing engine information, and that's how they come up with the engine formula. And whatever they figure out, that's just the spec to how they build the engines. So that's the RCR HMS Chevrolet Alliance right there that you're referring to. Right on Williams says one wise guy. Gosh, two car got a chance. Says Wilfred J. I like road courses. But you better go to your local short track this weekend if you want to see circle track racing. Regular points for top 10 playoff positions on Sunday, I should say. Regular points for top 10 playoff positions and a Crate 8 demo derby for the remaining spots. Says Ken. No, we're going to save that for the championship race, Ken. We got to save that for the championship. Does the waiver go away moving forward in 2025? NASCAR, I would say NASCAR usually never says they're wrong, so I don't think it'll go away. But it should. It 100, in my opinion, 100% should. It doesn't do anything to positively impact the sport. It is an action detrimental to stock car racing. They should get rid of it. F1 with a red flag, IndyCar and NASCAR could all overlap each other Sunday, all on major. That'll be interesting to see who pulls what on viewership. 60 drivers too much. Go back to the top 10 and 2 wild cards, says Chrome Diesel. Yeah, I do agree with the fact that 16 drivers are too much for a playoff. I like 12. 16 is half the field, man. So I like 12 better myself. High limit got rained out at Davenport tonight. Kyle Larson was there. The waiver has no meaning behind it. That's what I'm saying. Like, the two worst case scenarios have already happened, and they've given waivers for them. So just get rid of the rule. Could race hubs cancellation potentially make Fox's broadcast better? Probably not. I get they could invest more time and money into cup races with no Xfinity next year. Also, they've been so bad. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen either, but I don't want to say they can't get much worse because I don't want to challenge them, because every time I feel like we challenge them, they do rise to that occasion and do make it worse. I would like to see Chase Briscoe end his winless streak, says Douglas. I think he will. I don't know if it'll be this season, but I think coming in the near future, he will end the winless streak for sure. Or losing streak, because he's not technically winless. People like to ding me on that one from time to time. Racing this weekend. If we race, it'll be at South Boston. Everything is up in flux right now. I can't tell you one way or the other. One wise guy. Fox has one more race left in 2024. Says Duke Chronic. Glad this is the last time Sonoma gets covered by Fox. Xfinity will be CW, while Cup will be on TNT. They were the gold standard. Now their broadcasts are mostly trash. Very sad. I agree. They fell off. A lot of really good broadcasting stuff has fallen off since then, though. Anyone remember who Dib is? The heart gets in the way when these get at the bottom. Diddy. Anyone remember who Diddy is? I do remember Matt DiBenedetto. So yeah. I don't know if he's going to get a ride or not. Like, he's left so many times in a bad way. I don't know if he's going to get another shot at the Cup deal. One wise guy saying, "Have a good one, bud." You have a good one too, wise guy. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, my friend. It looks like we've reached the end of the chat, so I'll read off the poll question. Yes, 76% say yes. Kyle should have gotten the waiver. 7% said no. 3% said what's a waiver. 13% said I thought this was a food channel. Out of 68 votes. So there you go. There is the poll question. I appreciate it. We'll catch you guys on the next live, which will be the pre-race before Sonoma. And we'll catch you on the post-race. So if you want to catch the next live stream, those are the next dates. Until then, peace.